Welcome to a chilling journey through three terrifying real-life encounters. From a gas station stalker to a sinister roadside trap and an unsettling rest stop encounter, these stories will leave you questioning the safety of even the most mundane moments. Stay tuned and prepare to be unnerved. Story 1. The Gas Station Stalker. After my breakup, I moved back to my parents' house in western Massachusetts. My ex and I had shared an apartment in Boston. But once the relationship fell apart, I had no choice but to leave. Let me tell you, never sign a lease with someone you've only been dating for a short time. It was a mistake I'll never repeat. Life at my parents' house was boring. The further west you go in Massachusetts, the more rural it gets. I wasn't used to the quiet. I'd always preferred the noise of the city. To make things worse, I had to return to my old job at an urgent care clinic. It was temporary, just until I could save enough to move out again. But the hours were brutal, mostly overnight shifts. My sleep schedule was wrecked, and any hope of a social life was gone. One particular morning, I finished a shift around 4 a.m. I was starving, so I stopped at a nearby Shell station. There wasn't much else open at that hour. The gas station was almost completely empty, just like it usually was. It had a massive lot, but it was eerie how vacant it felt. After paying inside, I returned to the pump. That's when I noticed a blue sedan pull up. A man got out and, for no reason at all, walked directly toward me. "Want to see a funny trick?" he said, smiling. Before I could react, he started doing that ridiculous finger trick, the one where it looks like you're pulling your finger off. I laughed awkwardly, hoping he'd go away. But he didn't. He just kept doing it, his eyes flicking between his hand and my face. My skin crawled. The moment my tank was full, I hurried back inside to get my change, wanting to avoid him. When I returned, the man was gone, but his car was still there, with the pump handle still attached. He had vanished without a trace. I quickly left, relieved to be heading home. But the terror wasn't over. As I sat down to eat, I heard it, the unmistakable sound of the front door unlocking, the soft creak of it closing. My heart pounded. "Mom? Dad?" I called out, praying I was wrong. No response. My parents were asleep upstairs. I bolted to their room, waking them with my frantic shouting. My dad rushed downstairs while I clung to my mom. We checked every room, but the house seemed empty, until I crouched under the dining room table. And there he was, the man from the gas station. My scream pierced the silence. My dad charged in, but the man fought back. My mom and I joined in, punching and clawing, desperately trying to help. Finally, he broke free and fled. The police arrived quickly, but the man was gone. He still had our spare key. My dad changed the locks the next morning, and we never hid a key outside again. To this day, I can't shake the feeling of guilt. I brought that danger home, and I'll never forget the look in that man's eyes. Story 2. The Wendy's Trap. A long drive from New York to Florida is no joke. 18 hours of endless highways. To make it easier, I usually leave around 2 a.m., avoiding traffic. This time was no different. By the time I reached New Jersey, the dark roads were empty, save for the occasional passing truck. At around 4 a.m., hunger set in. When I spotted a Wendy's sign, I decided to stop. The empty lot was dimly lit, with only one other car parked near the edge. The drive-through menu was glowing, making it seem like the place was open. But after a minute of waiting, no one answered. Frustrated, I looked it up on my phone. It didn't open until 6 a.m. Then 3 sudden knocks on my window jolted me. My heart nearly stopped. A man stood outside smiling. He gestured for me to roll down my window. Every instinct screamed at me to drive away, but I cracked it just enough to hear him. He claimed his battery had died and begged for a jump start. I hesitated, but I believed in karma. If I didn't help, would something bad happen to me later? I pulled my car next to his. As we connected the cables, I noticed something off. His car had been running just fine earlier, yet now, no matter how long we waited, it wouldn't start. Then he stepped away, speaking in hushed Spanish on his phone. I didn't understand the words, but the tone was unsettling. Suddenly, the roar of 2 pickup trucks filled the air. They sped into the lot from both sides, blocking me in. My stomach dropped. It was a trap. The man smiled wider, his intent clear. Without thinking, I yanked the cables off my battery, slammed the hood shut, and sprinted into the woods. Branches tore at my legs, but I didn't stop. The sound of shouting men followed, their voices getting closer. Eventually, silence fell. I crept back, praying my car was still there. It was, but the back window was shattered. My bags, clothes, shoes, and valuables were gone. Everything. The police said the car had fake plates. The trucks had no plates at all. There was little they could do. Those men got away. I never saw them again, but I'll never forget how close I came to real danger. That day taught me a painful lesson. Never let your guard down, no matter how harmless someone seems. Story 3. The Rest Stop Stalker. Long road trips can be exhausting. After hours behind the wheel, all I wanted was a break. Late at night, I spotted a rest area and pulled in. The lot was empty except for one car with heavily tinted windows. The small restroom building was dim and silent. As I entered, my eyes locked on a man standing in the corner. His head was down, facing the wall. For a moment, I thought he was just lost in thought. But then I realized he wasn't moving. A chill ran down my spine. I hurried to the stall, my hands trembling. Moments passed, the silence unbearable. Then came the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps. They stopped right outside my stall. "Someone's in here," I called out, my voice unsteady. No response. The shoes remained, unmoving. My heart pounded. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911, and put it on speaker. My voice shook as I explained what was happening. The sound of my words seemed to break the tension. The footsteps retreated. The door creaked open, and the man was gone. When the police arrived, I described the man and the eerie encounter. They checked the rest stop, but he had vanished. I got back in my car, locking every door. For the rest of my drive, paranoia clung to me. Even now, I can't shake the feeling that I wasn't just followed that night. I was hunted,